Question 2. Using NetBeans IDE or any other IDE of your choice, create a string graphical user interface application. The application should have a simple login form that uses text fields to capture username and password. It should have a login button. So step 1, in the very step first, we need to import all the necessary packages for our program so that we will be able to use all the interfaces and classes that we use in our program. Then step 2, we are going to create a class login frame.java. In this step, we will create a class in this example that will both extend the Java Flame class and implement the action listener interface. We are going to implement the action listener interface because we will do some click events in our program. Action listener interface resides in java.awt.event.action packages. So first of all, we have to import this package into our class, which we have already done. Action listener contains only one method, action performed, action or action event. So if we are implementing the action listener interface in any class, then we have to override its method action performed into the class. So what next is we are going to create the constructor of the login frame class. We are going to also create constructor of login frame class, overriding action performed. Then step 3 is creating object of login frames. Now we'll create another class that is login.java in the same example, where our main method will reside. Now inside our main method, we'll create the object of login frame class and set some of its properties like its title, size, and location, default close operation, and its visibility. So we are going to create object of login frame class and setting some of its properties. Then another step is setting layout manager of the Java frame. Now inside our login frame class, we'll get the content pane of the frame using the getContentPane method. GetContentPane returns a container reference, so we'll create a reference to the container. Now we are going to set the layout manager of the container. For this, we are going to create a user-defined method, setLayoutManager. By default, the content pane uses border layout. If we do not like the default layout manager that a content pane uses, when we are free to change it to a different one. Set the layout manager to null, we have to call the setLayout method using the object of a container, and we will pass null as its argument. By doing this, we are setting the layout manager of container to null. Then we are going to calling setLayoutManager method inside the constructor, setting layout manager of container to null. Then our step 5 is adding components of our Java frame. Since we have already created our Java frame now, we can add components to it. To add components to it, first of all, we have to create the objects of all components. We are going to create two Java label username and password, one Java text field to enter username or Java password field to enter the password. We are going to have two Java button login and reset, one Java checkbox and show that's going to show the password. To improve the improve the readability of our program, we are going to create two user-defined methods. First is to set the location and size, and the second one is to add components to container. Now we can set the location and size of the components using the setBounds method, and we can add them to container using add method. Next, we have to call those user-defined methods inside the constructor. By calling methods inside the instructor, setting location and size of each component using setButton method, adding each component to the container. Now we can see that we have successfully added components to Java frame. Now the next thing we have to do is to add functionalities to our Java buttons and Java checkbox so that when we click on them, they should perform some actions. Our next step, which is step 6, is adding event handling to Java buttons, that is login, reset, and Java checkbox, that is for password. To add event handling to our Java buttons and checkbox first thing we have to do is to register action listener to them. For this, we call the add action listener method using the object of the desired component. The parameter of the add action listener method is the object of that class in which action listener interface is implemented, and since we are in the same class, so we will pass this as the argument of the add action listener method. By registering the component, the action performed method will be called whenever we click on any of the registered components. Now we will sum up all the things inside a user-defined method add action event. So we are going to call add action event method, adding action listener to components. The next thing we have to do is code the desired actions that we want in response whenever we click on the Java button or Java checkbox inside action performed method. Step 7 is about action performed method. Now we want that if we enter username as Bowers and password as our registration number and click on the login button, then a message dialog box should appear and display the message login successfully. And if we enter a different username or password, then the dialog box should display the message valid username or password. For this dialog box, we will use the show message dialog method of Java option pen class. If we click on the reset button, then all the text of Java text field and Java password fields should be cleared. Now if we click on the show password Java checkbox, then the secret password should be revealed, and if we uncheck the show password Java checkbox, then all the text of the Java password field should be masked with characters. Then public class login frame extends Java frame implements action listener. Coding part 1. Coding part of login button. Coding part of show password Java checkbox. Coding part of reset button. Now let's provide username. Let's provide the username as Mbabas. And password as the registration number, which is 19 UBIT 0235 MD, and see what happens. Now you can see the message dialog box has displayed the message login successful. Now let's enter other username or password like Grace. Now you can see the message dialog box has displayed the message invalid username or password. Now let's check the checkbox show password and see what happens. And we can see it shows the password. It shows the password has been revealed. You can also check the reset button and also uncheck the Java checkbox, and it will work fine. So thank you so much.